Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Insane Mock Gorilla here, and welcome back to another part of What If Deku Was a Spartan. From where we last left off, Uraraka and Deku got slightly drunk. Well, not slightly. Well, not slightly, just they got quite drunk. They, they got quite drunk. And they went home, went up to their own beds, but ended up sleeping together after having a bit of fun underneath the covers. So, yes, Uraraka then wakes up at 7:30 in the morning to realise that she's on top of Izuku Midoriya. As she blushes hard, saying, "Did I sleepwalk last night?" As she gets up slowly, as she says to herself in a soft voice, "Most probably not. I most probably did sleepwalk last night. And how my head hurts." As she attempts to get off, she feels something hit Deku. And she looks down to see they're both in the nude. And she looks to the side to see all their clothes scattered. But she just brushes it aside, saying, we most probably had a bit of fun last night. We most probably were a little bit drunk, but not drunk enough to, well, do anything too stupid." She gets her clothes on and goes downstairs to see that there's a call coming in from Oni. As she picks it up, saying, "This is Uraraka, or Spartan Wraith, reporting." As Oni says, "Wraith is tight in there because we need you both for a mission. You two are the headhunters, so we need our best for this." As Uraraka says, "Okay, tell me the mission and we'll come down immediately. We'll go to our mission." As they say that there's a possible Covenant scouting force approaching, well, walking around the forest. And they are most probably looking for a suitable landing zone for them to sneak vessels onto Earth, bypassing the orbital defenses. We last saw them in Australia, near New Mombasa. I forget where New Mombasa is. Is that in Africa, or if you guys know if it's in Africa from the ODSD game, which I love playing. That's actually my second Halo game that I've played. Type down below if New Mombasa is in Australia. No, not Australia, in Africa. Because I seriously have no clue. I'm being honest, I have no clue. Anyway, she says, alright, we'll get our armor on and we'll head straight out immediately. As they say, roger that, over and out. And she says, I'll go and wake Deku up, or wake Izuku up. And she hears him walk down the stairs saying, you don't need to wake me up, I already heard. I'm going to get some clothes on, then we're going to go get our armor on. And she says, alright. As they both go and get their armor on. As Uraraka says, what did we do last night? Izuku, still having a hangover, saying, I don't know, but damn, my head hurts. As Uraraka says the same, saying that her head hurts as well. They must have drunk a lot of booze last night. As she remembers what happened to Noble 6 and Reach. And also remembering what he said. And she said, I still can't believe that he's gone. But I now know that there's a Spartan who is called the last Spartan of Reach. Wear the name with pride. As they go and do their mission, head to Africa and find the Covenant Patrol. As it's some brutes, some Senhili, grunts, jackals, and the drones. As Uraraka says, look at those elites. It's the same sort of creature we saw with the silver armor. As Izuku says, yeah, I know. And look, it's also those big brutey things with the hammers, with those sort of hammers. As he pulls out a pair of binoculars and gives, two sets of binoculars and gives one set to her, saying, take a look at the back there. As they look at the far back, they see a small Covenant outpost, saying if we can sneak into that Covenant outpost, we can gather some information, then come back. Not come back, then get out. As Uraraka says, let's destroy the entire facility as well while we're at it. No sense in leaving an outpost like this to slowly grow into a full-on base. As Deku then agrees, saying, yes, let's. I'll go and get Yinny and you go and get Jenny. As Uraraka says, so I get one generator and you can go get the other generator. Yes. As Deku says, yes, I will do. I will be going to get one generator while you go and get another. We'll simultaneously plant bombs different areas, but avoid as much covey contact as possible. But what is concerning is about why these elites are not fighting these so-called brutes. Perhaps that guy's transmission never went through, or their so-called prophets said it's all something to do with whatever religion they're doing. As eventually they managed to sneak into the base after having to avoid like 12 patrols. Izuraka talks to Izuku through his earpiece in his helmet, saying, "This isn't just an ordinary outpost. It, it's already looking like a stronghold. The Covenant have already found their secret landing zone. But unfortunately, it's right underneath the main batteries that protects Earth over New Mombasa. As eventually they plant all the bombs. Deku gets spotted, and once again he has to launch a quick counterattack to avoid getting killed. As Uraraka says over the comlink, "I've got the last bomb sorted. What about you?" As Deku says over the comm, saying, "I've been engaged. We've got to go loud. I'll plant the bomb when I deal with this patrol, but then we've got to go different our own ways to get out." As eventually he says, "We better all be careful. We better just be careful just in case. So whenever we leave, we quickly make booby traps. So if any Covenant forces follow us, they'll hit them." As Adorka says, "Right," and she says, "Be careful." As Deku just says, "Aren't I always?" Eventually, they both manage to get out of the facility as the patrol comes back to check out all the shooting. As Deku contacts Uraraka saying, "Blow the charges now. I'm out of the facility, so we're both going to blow the charges." As they pull out two separate detonators and click boom. As the ruckus could be heard from miles around. And as the pillar of smoke goes up, three pelicans full of UNSC Marines arrive to see two Spartans waving them down. As all three land and the Marines get out, the Marines say what happened as the Spartans say, "Go and check where that smoke is and make sure no Covenant are alive still." As the Marines say the Covenant are here on Earth, as Zuki just says yes, they were. Luckily, I only noticed that they were here, but we don't know why they're in New Mombasa or anywhere near New Mombasa. They must have scouted the planet out before we put the defences up. And this group has been here for a while, telling by the defences they already had up. It looks like they were getting ready for a fallout attack. So get that information up to Admiral Hood. Or should I say, we're going to get that information up to Admiral Hood. But you Marines go and check out where the smoke is to make sure no Covenant survived it. As they both walk off, as a fourth Pelican turns up, take him directly to Admiral Hood. On their way there, they get told to go to the armory to get the new Spartan armor on, because they're still young enough to get used to the new armor set. As they try it, and the armor set responds more swiftly to their movements. Zodoraka says, "I can get used to this." As Deki says, "I could as well. It's just going to take us a little bit of time to fully get used to him." As the chief then walks in, saying, "You guys are correct. It will take time for us to get used to this sort of armor." As Zodoraka and Deki hug the chief, saying, "Thank God you're alright." After Reach and you coming back after a while, we thought that you were lost after a few weeks have gone past. This chief then tells him what he found with the Pillar of Autumn. But he also told him that Captain Keyes was killed by the Covenant. As they say, sorry, Chief. Captain Keyes had a good record. He was a strong, independent man. He knew his men well, and he treated them with outright respect, and they all became like family to him. So if he didn't die taking Covenant down with him, then I don't know why. I don't know what he would have done. As the chief says, he took more than just a few Covenant out with him. There was a ring that the Covenant called Halo, and it was designed to wipe out all life in the galaxy. But the facilities were severely degrading. Everywhere you went, there seemed to be erosion and decay. The Covenant were trying to repair all the decaying parts, but to no avail. I then found something within that ring, as it says Installation 004, and its monitor, as he calls himself, Guilty 343 Guilty Spark, says that the Forerunners built the rings to combat the flood, a parasitic organism that consumed all biomass. The Forerunners totally destroyed the flood and the entire galaxy just to make sure that the flood do not spread to any other systems. The Forerunners wanted to take some flood spores for, well, for study, but the Didact said no, we cannot do that. We destroy all of the flood life forms, no matter what. Decades passed, the flood was getting stronger and adapting to Forerunner systems. Eventually, the Forerunners went into hibernation, into like a more advanced versions of our cryopods, as they left the galaxy to their so-called Ark installation, where 343 Guilty Spark believes that they are still alive and on the Ark. Unfortunately, he wanted to fire the ring again just in case the flood is still around, which all of his systems said that they're not, but he couldn't be too sure. He was then starting to pressure the Covenant into actually firing the ring, but because of their fanaticism, they said they will not fire the rings until their prophets say that their great journey is almost at an end, and they now fire the rings to complete it. Eventually, I destroyed the entire facility and 343 Guilty Spark along with it, or at least I hope I did. Now let's get this. Now I'm going to get this armor on to see if I can get used to it. But be aware, the Covenant may launch a counterattack on Earth. I'm going to Lord Admiral Hood to get for a well, for a medal apparently, because apparently Lord Admiral Hood and the Council say that I deserve a medal, even though I did a lot less than you two. So, in my honest opinion, you two deserve the medals, not me. As Araka says, but Chief, there's the reason why you're the Chief. You're the one who has to take the honorary stuff. We're not you. As Araka continues, Deku just then hypes up, saying, if it wasn't for you, Chief, we wouldn't have learnt how to fight. We've taught the next generation of Spartans how to fight, and they're possibly going to teach the next. So be thankful that you trained two of the most prominent headhunters in the galaxy. But we also hear that the Covenant are starting to call us demons now, which suit us just fine. And plus, there was already a Covenant, nearly a Covenant stronghold on Earth, which we just got up from destroying. Got up here from destroying it. As the chief is subtly alarmed, along with the sergeant who was there, saying, "Oh, that is just great." And I'm going to try and make good voice impression. "Oh, that is just great. We don't need any Covenant on Earth." And our things are totally destroyed, Chief, and not to mention the power supply. Do you not know how much stuff this costs, son? Sir, tell that to the Covenant. I would tell that to the Covenant if I could beat them with it. Saying, "Do you know how much this costs, you alien freaks?" As he just walks back to a table and says, "I'll try and get it repaired." But the power supply and the optics are completely fried, so don't get your hopes up if he can even remotely dismantle it to get any sort of useful scrap out of it. As they go up, Udarak and Deku quickly give their report to Admiral Hood before stepping aside. And this is where they first meet Sergeant Johnson. As Sergeant Johnson, before the ceremony fully ended, Sergeant Johnson asks Admiral Hood to speak up, as he says, "Sure." As he says, "During my time in the Marine Corps, we didn't have fancy stuff, sir. But because of the chief, we have fancy armor, have all this fancy stuff. But I really want to ask, can those two get medals as well? Not instead of us, because they also did their fair share of damage to the Covenant. And it's not like I could do anything better. To be honest, truthfully, I could not pull off half of the shit those two do." As everybody sort of like looks at him, saying, and as they speak up, saying, "And you are?" As Johnson turns to them, saying, "My name is Sergeant Johnson. I used to be a Spartan like you guys. A Gen 1 to be precise. But a lot of my cohorts went mentally unstable and insane. I barely kept my sanity alive. Good to meet you, Raven Titan." As he salutes, and they give a salute back. Pardon me. Eventually they walk off. But as they walk off, they hear alarms. As they rush back into the control room, as the fleet of Covenant warships arrive. The same stuff happens in canon with the Chief, where you're in the station. They fight off the Covenant borders, as they've realised that they've got a bomb on board, after losing 2 defence platforms. Sorry. As the Chief does his thing of taking the bomb and pushing it towards the Covenant supercarrier, as Deku and Uraraka are taken to the planet's surface, or taken to a ship up in orbit above a Covenant supercarrier that went down to New Mombasa. And this is where they meet Buck, Romeo, Dutch, Mickey, the rookie, and Veronica Dare, who's an only officer. As they walk in to her saying, replacements? How many do you have to replace in the war? How much is it? At least they listen to me, and they're not gonna like what they hear. Orders are orders. Come on, Veronica. What about that? What about that carrier? My orders? I'm Buck. Call me Captain. I'll pass on that dance, but at least you can tell me where to sit. As he looks over to the door and says, Hello, Spartans, as she immediately turns around, as she sees Titan and Wraith walk through. As she immediately salutes, saying, Spartans, I didn't realise that we were going to have Spartans for this mission. As they said, what mission are we doing? As she says, we're going, I'll tell you. Buck already knows, but his men don't. As she tells them the mission to retrieve the new Mombasa superintelligence. As Uraraka says, but why? Why take a superintelligence when we can just download it? As Veronica Dare says that we can't. The system's AI is like, how can I explain it? They're not. The AI is Mombasa itself. You have to go to the main central core to download it. If you understand what I mean. The AI is New Mombasa in its entirety. It controls traffic lights, stop signs, public walkways, cameras. Hell, it even controls your coffee machine and your lights. So yeah, the AI is everything in New Mombasa. Trying to download it a piece at a time, it'll take you decades just to even get half of the city done. And we don't have decades. As they eventually get to their drop pods to see that Buck is telling all of his men where to go and sit, as all the men get up to see Spartans. Romeo still hits the rookie, which is you guys, by the way, when you play ODSD. I suggest you go and play it. It is a fun game. As he says, wake up, Buttercup. As Dutch says, relax, rookie, he don't mean nothing. Besides, now's one of those times. It pays to be the strong silent type. As the Spartans walk past Dutch as he bumps into Uraraka, saying, oh, sorry, ma'am. And she says that's alright, and she moves on past, as the rookie gives her a salute as she gives one back. And she says, Rookie, you're the rookie, right? As he nods. And she says, good. Have you ever seen two Spartans before? As he shakes his head, saying no. He's saying, well, you're going to get to see two Spartans get launched down with you. We have our own missions down on New Mombasa, which is to help you guys, but we've also got secondary tasks to do as well. See you planet side, Trooper. As they both get into two separate drop pods. As Veronica Dare says, Covenant forces are massing beneath the carrier. As Buck says, they're falling back. Why? We're not going to find it. We're not going to find out way up here as an explosion happens. And Buck says, troopers and Spartans, we heard green get very, very mean. As they end up getting drop podded down. Romeo still makes the snappy remark saying, I take it back. The Navy got its butt kicked. As Buck says, Romeo, you remember when I told you to shut your mouth? Yeah? Well, consider that a standing order. As the two Spartans get on comms, saying, you all need to focus on your task at hand right now. And that is getting down to the planet's surface without getting shot out of the sky by that Covenant supercarrier. Veronica dare ring these people in, including you, Buck, or otherwise we'll do it for you. As both of them say, Roger that. As Veronica then says, but I'm in charge, Spartans. As the Spartans say, we've got our own missions as well. So technically, you may be in charge of the main mission, but our main mission is to fight the Covenant at every turn. So you can shut it. Our missions are second on top priority for us. You've got your main missions, and we've got ours. We're being dropped down to help the UNSC forces in New Mombasa as the Covenant move in. As they see the Prophet of a Great's capital ship as it prepares for slip space. Same thing happens, but Uraraka shouts down the comms to Deku saying, look, it looks like one of our frigates is going to jump alongside it. As both the capital ship and the frigate leave through slip space in the middle of the city. Now, going to the chief's perspective, he was already on planet, fighting the Covenant in New Mombasa, fighting the one of the earliest forms of the Scarab. So yeah, the new version of the Scarabs will turn up eventually. As eventually, when the ship goes to slip space, the EMP happens, knocking everybody off course. Deku and Uraraka land next to the rookie's drop pod. As all three of them wake up, and they all jump out. Spartan's hitting the ground hard, and the rookie second. As they look to the rookie as he looks up, he or she, you never. Well, she, no, he. Sorry, I'm gonna say he because I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman I was playing as. As the rookie just looks up, looks to see two Spartans, as the Spartans look at him. And he sort of do military hand signal saying, are you okay? As he puts up an okay sign. As he sort of slightly limps. As Mudaraka then does a hand sign saying, don't lie next time. As he just says, I'll be fine. It's just that I haven't moved for some time. So I just think it's just a bit of seizure in the bones. As he just goes over to the medical station and gets medical supplies. As he's able to move again. As this is something he does not do. In the game, as he decides actually speaks words, saying, so the Covenant supercarrier jumped. Well, went to slip space in the middle of a city. If that doesn't prove that the Covenant are dickheads, then I don't know what does. As Uraraka and Deku say, you haven't seen what they did you didn't see what they did to Reach. As he says, sorry, I didn't. Wait, you guys were on Reach. I always wanted to go there as a kid, but I never could. As Deku said, yeah, the Covenant glassed it. And our brother, or as we saw, as a brother, died. He was a good man. As Deku says, as the rookie says sorry. And Uraraka says it's alright. It wasn't like we could do anything. The planet was already on its last legs. We tried to hold the Covenant off as best as we could. But in the end, we just couldn't do anything about it. And plus, you're looking at the last Spartan of Reach, as he was called. Because Sierra 123, otherwise known as Titan, used to live on Reach before he came to Earth. As he says, well, Ghost of Reach, we better get going then. As the Ghost of Reach rang through Izuku's headgear, he said, "I like it. It'll make the Covenant think real hard about them attacking Reach. They should have made sure all ships were destroyed." As eventually they continue walking through the city of New Mombasa, finding clues on what happened while they were all out, because the impact was hard enough to even knock out the Spartans. As they find a few armor pieces of Spartans, and two of the armor pieces, well, all the armor pieces were of red and blue team. As they both get worried, saying, "Oh no, the comic relief squad's here, so we better find them fast." Some of them must have lost their helmets and along with their armor, or they had to get rid of the armor to do some serious medical first aid. As eventually they hear, "Do not move," as all three of them put their hands up, saying, "Calm down. We're Spartans. It's Titan and Wraith." And the rookie from the OGSD group that just crashed here. As they turn around to see a woman in blue armor, as she puts down a rifle, saying, "Oh, thank God, it's you two. I thought we would never see you guys again." "It's okay, Tucker. Church, Tucker, Sarge, Griff, Simmons, Wash. It's alright. They're friends." As they all stand up, saying, "Yeah, we kind of gathered that as soon as we heard Titan and Wraith. I take it you saw the armor that we placed there." As she says, well, as they both, all three of them say yes. Well, the rookie just nods in agreement, saying yeah. So yeah, that's all fake. We put it there so the Covenant could get confused. But apparently it works on both sides as well. Sorry about that. As you can most probably tell by that pile over there, we hit all the bodies that came near. As Uraraka says, "Nice strategy." As they say, "Yeah, it was, but you might want to come and look at this." As all of them head up a building to see a field of dead bodies that are all Covenant in nature. As Uraraka says, "Wait, they're the elites. Why are there tons of their bodies around?" As Carolina says, apparently the Covenant are having a big falling out session within their own ranks. The Brutes, as we now call them, killed the elites, which we now know their real name. That's the Sanheli of San Helios. They're an honourable race that the Covenant just apparently tricked into becoming part of their religious following. And apparently, now that a prophet's been killed, that someone important has died, the elites have been replaced by the brutes, and the elites do not like it because the brutes are literally, as we just said, brutes. As Washington perks up, saying, "Yeah, they are. I watched them beat a Senhili warrior to death with their own bare hands, and they were laughing while they were doing it. The poor bastard couldn't even defend himself. He got an energy sword out and cut one of them down, but then the rest just shot him and didn't stop for literally a few hours. There's barely anything remaining of the guy's skeleton. As he was lying there dying, one of the brutes just stomped on his head and killed him. So now the Covenant have most probably are going to start having a civil war. We could take advantage of that and make sure that the Covenant lose all their forces here. But we couldn't find any more Senhili. We only found the brutes, and that's it. It looks like more of the brutes have taken a lot more of the Covenant foot soldiers' roles instead of them getting used as cannon fodder. Apparently, as Tucker and Church walk up, saying not only that, but it appears whenever they are near each other, they all seem to go in small war bands. Apparently, as Tucker says, not only that, but they seem to be carrying a lot of equipment with them, setting up specific defenses around the city, almost like they're waiting for somebody or someone. As Uraraka says, we need to find the rest of the ODSDs immediately. As Church says, there was an explosion literally a few hours ago, coming out of a vent leading to the sea. A Covenant Phantom rushed out, followed by a Banshee. We're about to start shooting when it looked like a human got out of the Banshee in midair, and the Phantom just picked him up. They left them, turned around, and went somewhere. We were about to go and follow, but then we saw that there was a ton of Covenant forces coming our way, so we had to hide. Eventually, the rookie hears a signal saying, "This is Veronica Dare. I need reinforcements." As he taps both of the Spartan's shoulders, and does hand sign saying, "I got a signal from Veronica Dare. She needs backup immediately." As they look towards the other Spartans and saying, "Well, we got a whole group of Spartans here. Let's go." As Titan and Wraith, as they all know them as, say, "You lot, okay, Spartans, you're coming with us. We're going to help our ODSD friends out, then leave the city." As Carolina says, "You lot go with these two Spartans. Me and Wash will stay here and protect the civilians that are still in the city." As she says, "We'll most probably try and steal a Phantom ourselves. Or even better, destroy one of the Covenant defenses and get out that way. There's one not too far away from here, very heavily unarmed, because they don't think anybody's going to come from that way. So we're going to quickly shoot our way through and get all these civilians out." As all the other as red and blue team go with Titan and Wraith. Sorry about that. As it takes them a few days to get through all of the city. Eventually, the chief turns up again, and then the final days of the Covenant were at hand. But before they got out the city of New Mombasa, with Veronica there and the superintendent AI that turns out to be an engineer that turned against the Covenant, a supercarrier that starts melting New Mombasa, revealing the slip gate to the Ark. But this time when the Covenant go through, they're met with Forerunner technology that was active and started shooting at the Covenant forces and coming through the portal. Quickly realizing that humanity's here, they stand down and go back through the portal to only re-emerge again with a bigger vessel from the Forerunners. As the Forerunner leader, the Didact, walks out saying, "Hello, humanity. We are not your enemies, so don't worry. We're glad that the galaxy has finally gotten to the space age. We have to undo our own mistakes. The Covenant want to fire the rings to wipe out all life in the galaxy, but we did that once to stop the flood. And we made the Halo rings go into sort of a decaying state so that as they decay, all their functions get shut down. The Covenant tried to rebuild Installation 04, but they realised once they can't do that. So in the end, they gave up and abandoned it. Then this station got blown up, which was fine by us. Now that things are going to be calm for a while, as in hundreds of Covenant ships turn up and start firing upon other Covenant ships. As an elite pops over the comms saying, "All humans take heed. This is the carrier Shadow of Intent. We are here to aid you." The Covenant has now gone into civil war, and the elites fight alongside the humanity. We don't ask you to forgive us for all the damage we've done, but our prophets lied to us, so now we're going to take them back, going to take them out. As the Forerunners say, we'll shut down the portal and go back to the Ark. We live on the Ark now, and we don't want anybody coming on board, going to the Ark. It is our home ground now, so please don't try and come to us. What this so-called Covenant has done here is unforgivable. But considering this is your galaxy now with the Covenant, you have to choose whether you stay like this and finally go to peace, or still stay at war. As this finally took over a few more months, the Spartans, only Sierra 117 left, with no other Spartans, as he said, stay here, just in case any Covenant forces that still remain try to come to Earth to attack it again. As eventually Uraraka starts violently throwing up for no reason. As Deku sort of pats her on the back, saying, "What's wrong?" She says, "I don't know, I just started feeling sick for all of a sudden." As the other Spartans crowd around her, trying to perk her up, as she constantly throws up. Eventually, they get her to a facility where an only officer turns up, says her implants have most probably failed, so it's just nausea, I guess. As he takes a thorough, says, "I'm going to get a female member of staff to take a thorough scan over her, just in case." As she calls for a female member of staff, as she looks over at Uraraka. Eventually, she comes out saying, "Well, I got good news. for two particular people. And she looks over to Deku saying, Sierra 123, or otherwise known as Titan, as he says, no, call me the Ghost of Reach, because I'm now the last Spartan of it. And she says, okay, I'm still going to call you Titan because it's shorter. You might want to go in to see Rafe. Good, and congratulations, you're both going to be parents. Turns out Uraraka's pregnant and she's carrying twins. As we thought it was impossible for for a female Spartan to become pregnant. The war's almost over, so some Spartans are getting relieved of duty so they can find their own way in life once again. That goes for your classmates of 1A of UA High. Some of them can become heroes so they can keep themselves going with their implants. And because you two are 23 now, you're gonna have a good life with your child or with your kids. As Uraraka is lying down in a bed with tears in her eyes as Deku walks in with his armor. As he walks up beside her, and she says, I'm gonna be a mother. I can't believe it. And this war's almost over. Talk about perfect timing, hey? I gotta admit, I wasn't expecting this. As Deku finds when he said I know, but hang on a minute, I'll be back. I just have to go and get something quickly. As he walks off, as the others walk in, giving their congratulations to Uraraka and to Deku as well. After a few hours, he returns as Uraraka actually can start walking again. Actually start walking around. As he actually does this in front of them all, as he gets on one knee and pulls out a box with a wedding ring in it, saying, Uraraka, Ochako, do you want to be my wife? Will you marry me? As she gets on her knees and cries and says, yes, and hugs him. As he puts on the wedding ring. As they all start, as it all, everybody in the, as everybody around him starts clapping. Hell gets to the point where even the only officer sends it all live to Dr. Halsey, who sees that Deku's just proposed to Uraraka and they've both agreed to get married. As Dr. Halsey doesn't say anything, she just sits there and smiles, saying this was unexpected, as the only officer says this is just the beginning. Spartan Rafe is also expecting twins. As Halsey says, but the implants should have worked. Just in case two Spartans did get down and do it, female Spartan should not be able to get pregnant by this. Oh well. I guess things just happen, I guess. As eventually she tells him to go up to him and say that they have a choice. If they're going to be parents, they can still be Spartans if they want, but they won't be taking on as nearly as many perilous missions. As Uraraka says, I'll still be a Spartan, but I'll be a Spartan that protects my kids from the shadows. I'll still do Spartan work, But I'll protect my kids. As Deku said, just says, I'll also be a Spartan to protect my kids and to protect the future generations. But to also to find the chief, because I have a feeling he's not going to make it back, and he's going to be the grandfather to these two. So I can only imagine his face when he comes back to Earth again and sees his two former students they taught with their own kids. I can only imagine the big shock he gets. As a few as a few more months pass, the size of Uraraka gets steadily bigger. As as eventually you could see that can truly tell that she is carrying kids. They go they actually went back to Japan to go and see the class 1A students. As it turns out they all went back to UA to continue their learn to continue to learn to be heroes. As Uraraka and Deku walk in civilian clothing. Well, Deku walks in first as he says, "Hello class, how you doing?" As everybody stands up and gives him a hug, saying, "You're alive. We were staying on standby here in Japan, but now that the war's over, we came back to UA to learn." As Shoto Aizawa says they don't need to learn anything. They've been in battles and wars. They've been in a war and battles all the time now. So now they know what war feels like, and they know to hold restraint against civilians. I have nothing left to teach them. They're going to be fully qualified heroes in a few days. As he says that's good. As everybody notices that he has a wedding ring on his finger. Has a ring on his finger. And Izumi actually points it out, saying, "Big brother, have you got married or something?" As they all look at his hand to see a ring on him, ring on his finger, and they say, "Oh my god, that is such a good thing for you." As he says, "That's not all." As he says, "Uraraka can come in now." As she opens the door, holding onto her stomach, as she walks through, as they can all tell that she's pregnant, and Azumi gets up and walks over to her and gives her a hug and says, I'm gonna be an aunt, and I can't wait to see them, to see him or her." As Uraraka says, it's a girl and a boy. As they all light up, saying congratulations to Uraraka and Deku. As Aizawa actually claps and gives him a round of applause along with the rest of the class. Azumi hugs her brother, saying, "Congratulations, big bro. You're gonna have kids of your own." As Deku says, "Yeah, and I won't treat him like crap like like our father did." After a few months pass, Uraraka goes into hospital to give birth. Eventually, Deku walks in to see his two kids, his little girl and his little boy. As he calls the little boy John Midoriya, in respects of no Tom Midoriya, in respects of Noble Six Tom, and the other one, the little girl, they call Sarah Midoriya. as they both laugh and give hold both of their kids. As Tom starts crying, as Deku tries to get him to go back to sleep again. Both of them, Uraraka just laughs, saying, "You may be good with holding kids, but I think you're going to be a great father still." As he leans in and kisses her, says, "We'll both be good parents." That's a promise. And that's where I'm ending it, guys. Hope hope you liked it. I know I did. So yeah, I chose to make Uraraka and Deku become parents because I think it's more of a good look for them. Because we all know in the actual anime, Uraraka has the hots for Deku. So yeah, if you can't tell those two are going to get together in the anime, what's wrong with you? They're a perfect couple because they're always talking with each other. Anyway, all credit goes to the same man or woman who suggested the idea. All credit goes to them. And and some of the credit goes to you guys as well for liking the videos. I will be doing a new what if, a part 1 of sorts, because I've already done a part 0. And the part 0 is on Gundam, on the Gundam series. I'm going to try and add a bit of lore, actual lore, and possibly add Zigzeon in it as well. But I want to see if you guys actually like it or not. But if you want me to add in the Requiem part of Halo, I will do. And if you want me to also add in Halo 5, I'll also do that. But it's up to you guys. I will be doing the Gundam series. And I will also be doing I'll also do this again if you guys want me to do What If Deku was a Spartan again. Somebody did ask me to do an Assassin's Creed one, but I'm particularly not a fan of Assassin's Creed anymore. I used to be, but I don't like it anymore, so yeah, sorry my guy. And also, if I did actually do that, I'd end up losing where I was, to be honest with you. So that's also the other reason why I said no. I'm sure some of you guys have already checked some of the comments on part 6. And yeah, you'll understand that I said no to him. Well, I did say maybe. I maybe might do it. Maybe not. But everything that I do now is going to be part of the Gundam series. If you guys, as I said, if you guys want me to do the Requiem, Halo 4 Requiem arc and that, well, I call it an arc because it's part of the game, and Halo 5, I will do. I'm just not very averse with Halo 5 because I haven't played the game, because I don't have a Xbox One, and I don't have enough space on my laptop, which is what I'm using to record this right now. I don't have enough room as I said, on my laptop to play Halo 5. But anyway, I hope you love it. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you all next time within the Gundam one. Au revoir, you beautiful, beautiful people.